I'll be joined now by Aneel Waraich. He's the Executive VP at Steppe Gold. They are operating the ATO Gold Mine in Mongolia and producing roughly 60,000 ounces a year. And Aneel, I appreciate you joining us again. You're a returning guest on the program, so really appreciate you joining us, giving us an update on where you are at with Steppe Gold.
Thanks very much, Kai. For anyone who's new to the Steppe Gold story, we are listed on the main board of the TSX. We listed in May 2018 as the only main board mining IPO in 2018. So it was a very tough time to raise capital, where we raised $25 million. And since then, we've built our first mine. So we are located in Mongolia. We're one of the world's newest gold producers, bringing production online in April of 2020, where we had our first gold pour. And since then, we've produced roughly 35,000 ounces in our first 9 months during startup and ramp up in 2020, generating close to 25 million US of EBITDA, all-in costs averaging about $750 US, which we expect to track closer to $700 or a bit less life of mine on our phase 1 operation, which is an oxide mine. Why Mongolia? Well, Mongolia is a highly prospective country. It's resource rich. It's already home to world-class assets and discoveries with the Oyu Tolgoi mine that Rio Tinto operates, one of the biggest copper mines in the world when the expansion is complete. So clearly it is a country where you can build world-class mines, and in country you have the skilled labor force. We really, as a company at Steppe Gold, are focusing on the precious metal space, where we think there's relatively underexplored, the opportunity for new discoveries and growth, and we have a first mover advantage, having built our first mine successfully in the last couple of years, and most importantly, having the support in country at all levels. So we do consider ourselves a Mongolian company that's listed on the TSX. So today, our CEO is Mongolian, half our board are Mongolian, and most importantly, all of our staff, except for 2 in country, are Mongolian, which is now almost 200 people on site as we continue to produce and expand. And so that's very important in how you build support in country, being as local as possible. We're seeing that locally, provincially, and federally. We're certainly receiving the support, and most importantly, in times where we have a global pandemic, that hopefully we're getting through this year as well, where there's travel restrictions. If we relied on expats to run our business, we wouldn't be probably in business today. So we were able to successfully bring production online with a 100% Mongolian team. So that's been a big win for us, and it shows you how important. By doing so, we've also received investment from the Mongolian government. So just about a year ago, we received our first investment from the Mongolian Sovereign Fund, newly established Mongolian Sovereign Fund. So clearly we're getting the support in country if you have a government that's supportive of gold production, foreign investment, and Steppe Gold. And so that was also a big endorsement. It shows that we're doing the right things. So I'll go back to the other slide here. So as we said, in the last 2 years, we built our first mine. We bought our first mine for 20 million US, and in our first quarter of production, we actually generated over 25 million US of revenue. So it's been a highly profitable start with a phased approach, putting the oxide mine into production first, while we get a better handle on the geology, which I'll get to in a later slide. I think I've talked about our cash costs and our all-in cost in the $700 and cash costs in the $500 range. We're close to 35 million US on the balance sheet today, and that keeps growing as we produce. So we have a robust starter project will now fund the growth of our company. Today we have just under 70 million shares outstanding, market cap at about 160 Canadian, or roughly 130 US, with an enterprise value of about 100 million US, or 120 Canadian. So it's I would say a fairly undervalued story today, with a lot of growth and opportunity, which makes it more exciting, knowing that we don't need to raise any capital today, with the equity in the money, the options in the money, as well as the cash on hand and continued cash flow, which should be about another 25 million US of free cash flow generated this year. The next, we're able to fund our expansion into the phase 2. So currently we're at, as Kai mentioned, we're at 50 to 60,000 ounces a year run rate. At 1650 gold, that'll produce about 40 million US of EBITDA, 25 million US of free cash flow, and that'll help pave the way to our growth, which is the expansion into our phase 2 project. That's just underneath the oxides. So we started with a phased approach, putting the oxides in production, and now focusing on expanding into the fresh ore underneath, with a resource update that's coming out next month. We should show the path to building that CIL plant and flotation circuit. We have a lot of support in country in terms of equity investors from Mongolia. Board and management own almost 20% of the company today. So we're highly aligned with our investors. We have a track record in country. I think it's very important. Management, our chairman and CEO have built another company in Mongolia. It was a $20 million IPO in 2010, and in 2011 it was a $500 million cash sale. So we certainly know how to navigate the country and actually create significant value for shareholders. Eric Sprott's a large investor of our company at 11%, and we have the backing of Triple Flag and Elliott Management as well. So a very strong backing, which is great. So Step's value building model is really focusing on the cash flow we have today to fund the growth in the future. So it's a nice feeling to not be reliant on the markets when you have your own cash flow to control your own destiny growth. So now we're working on our development into phase 2. A revised feasibility study will come out, about 3-4 months after this resource update next month, and we'll start that expansion, which is already permitted, in the summer of this year, and bring that online in about 2 years, which should take our all-in production on a gold equivalent basis to about 150,000 ounces, with a target of a 10-year mine life, with costs not too dissimilar to today's phase 1 mine. So that's a pretty robust project in just a couple of years, and a lot of cash generation that will fuel. We still have exploration potential on both of our projects. We have 2 projects in the company today. The ATO project being the cornerstone asset, flagship for the company, that we acquired from Steppe Gold. It was a fully permitted, build-ready project where we took a phased approach by building the heap leach for lower capex, establishing ourselves as a producer, a taxpayer, a royalty payer, and an employer in country, of course, and then taking that robust cash flow to grow the larger fresh ore deposits underneath, and actually fund that expansion and the capex required for that expansion, alongside some debt, which we'll bring on later this year. Our second project is in the southwest of the country. It's an exploration license, 14,400 hectare license that has never been drilled, that we're going to start drilling next month as well. So a very exciting drill-ready license that has never been drilled, but has been drilled all around, and I'll show you on a separate slide what that looks like. This is just highlighting kind of what we built here in phase 1, which is the heap leach operation. You have cell number 1 and 2 in the top right. Cell number 3, 4, and 5 are now being lined and starting to be stacked as well. So we'll have some updated pictures shortly. Crushing circuit, you have the ponds, and this yellow building that's behind me, as well as here is the ADR building, and that's where the ADR plant. You have the gold room in there, and that's where we currently produce gold and silver bars and sell all that in country. So again, just another picture of the site today. So this is a really good slide to show you kind of where we started on the ATO project and where we're going. So the oxide mine that's currently in production starts right from surface. So we started on ATO 1 deposit here, and it's really from surface down to 40 meters. So it's a shallow open pit heap leach operation that can last for about 3 to 4 years from currently at the current run rate, which could fund now, as I mentioned, the expansion. So our goal is to take as much ounces out of the oxide mine, phase 1 mine, for the next 2 years, use all that cash to then grow into the phase 2 expansion. Underneath, you can see still shallow. The fresh ore here has only been drilled to about 350, 400 meters vertical depth. So still open at depth. And we have this new discovery called Mung. Mung means silver in Mongolian. It was actually discovered by Steppe, but they never put this into a resource or any technical work. So what we've done now is we've drilled enough holes on Mung to put a maiden resource on Mung. That'll come out as part of that resource update next month, where we'll update ATO 1, 2, 4, and put a maiden resource on Mung. Mung now will be part of our phase 2 expansion, where you're now going to have ideally an open pit to about 300 meters with all 4 of these deposits, and we'll decline underground into higher grade chutes later, to be determined. And we'll have to build a CIL plant and flotation circuit to process these fresh ores as we expand. We do believe in 2 years we should be able to bring the phase 2 expansion online, and at that point you're running at a higher run rate with all of these 4 deposits now. Mung is very exciting as a new discovery, a new deposit. Our first drill hole on Mung was 46 meters at 15 grams gold and 82 silver. A lot of opportunity here to grow this at depth, and as well as the trend here that you can see where ATO 4 and Mung are on the same trend, which goes for about 20 kilometers. So there's a lot of discovery opportunity here, both at depth and hopefully some other deposits when we step out. We just haven't had the time or money over the last 2 years to focus on that. Our main focus was to get established as a producer and get that cash flow coming in and coming online. Now that we have that, now that we have a resource update, we'll have some new targets to focus on for our new drilling program this year at ATO and Mung. This is located just south of Russia, where you have large epithermal gold deposits just like this that are 5 million plus, 10 million plus, and in production. So we do believe there's a scale potential, and we'll now focus on that in the coming years while bringing the phase 2 mine online. So I'm just going to really highlight again, we have obviously a robust, strong cash margins today, using that cash to expand into phase 2. The capex for phase 2 will be roughly in the 100 to 125 million US range, to be confirmed as we get our revised feasibility study out to the market by the end of Q2. So in about June timeframe, we'll know how much it'll cost to expand into phase 2. We'll start that construction in the summer. We'll have our own cash on our balance sheet, our continued cash flow for the next 2 years, as well as debt to fund that CIL expansion. So very exciting to be able to fund our growth here with our cash flow, and some debt. This is the other project I mentioned earlier on in the southwest of the country. So in the blue here is the UK, the Udumhundi project, including these gold outlines. So this is the 14,400 hectare exploration license that has never been drilled. We're the first owners. We jointly acquired this in 2017 while we were a private company with the provincial government. So it's 80% Steppe Gold, 20% provincial government. And it's a very exciting prospect because it's in a new gold district and belt where another company called Erdene Resources, ERD, have had a lot of success in the last few years with their new discoveries, their new deposits. Their Altan Nar and Bayan Hundi deposits are joining to our license. So they're immediately to the north and south of us. Bayan Hundi is their advanced deposit. They have a feasibility study completed on last summer. Between their 2 licenses, they're over 1 million ounces, and we're in the middle. So we're ready to now get down here and very excitingly drill in very short order. We've done all the groundwork, IP, magnetic soil sampling, and trenching results from surface that have yielded some encouraging results of 1.5 grams gold, 450 grams silver, 3% copper, 4% lead. So drill ready and ready to go in a month or so. So very exciting year for Steppe ahead with cash flow expansion, a resource update, a feasibility study, and hopefully a new production opportunity here down in the UK project.
Fantastic, Aneel. Really appreciate you running us through Steppe Gold. And we got a couple questions actually, and the question is from Paul Rankin. Aneel, Mongolian government asking Rio Tinto for more cash and taxes this week for Oyu Tolgoi. Have they expressed similar interests towards Steppe Gold? Is there any conversation happening?
Yeah, no, it's a different situation for us. As you know, Oyu Tolgoi, that agreement with the government in Rio was a poorly structured agreement from day one. The government has been, in debt, significantly in debt from day one, and I think the structuring of that agreement was poorly communicated as well as structured, and so that's something that needs to be fixed. That's a Rio Tinto and Oyu Tolgoi issue, not a Steppe Gold. We're a new discovery and a new build. We clearly have the government endorsement as an investor in our company. Great,
Aneel, really appreciate you coming on. We got to move on in the program and stay in the chat for a bit longer. I'm sure we'll get some more questions.